Hey guys, Cam here from PhoneDog.com, and here we believe that there are benefits to every platform that's available right now on the market. Last week I went through my top 5 favourite reasons for going Android, and this week I'm turning my attention to the iPhone. Now the iPhone and iOS is something that's almost impossible to ignore. They've been on the market now for 7 years, and to all intents and purposes it's the original iPhone that kind of kick-started the revolution of having a huge touchscreen with a beautiful user interface on it. So here are my top 5 reasons for going iPhone. First up, consistency. With the iPhone, you kind of know what you're going to get every time. When people are spending lots of money on phones and they're only upgrading every couple of years, they want to make sure they're going to have an experience that they know they like and not risk trying something brand new when there's a chance that they don't like it, or they can't use it, or they find it frustrating. And it's the reason why Apple and the iPhone has such a high customer satisfaction rating. People who buy iPhones generally stick with iPhones, and it's not just because they're all iSheep, it's because they actually like the experience of using the phone, and it's something that they're happy with. When you look at iOS and you look at the design of the iPhone and the way it looks and the way it works, it's pretty much stayed the same for the past 7 years. And that's something people like. We're kind of creatures of habit, and we don't like change that much. And you remember, if you look back to last year when iOS 7 came out and there was a huge change in the way it actually looked, not the way it worked, people kind of complained a lot. Even though it looked nice, there were so many loud complaints about the way it had changed and they didn't like it, and that kind of shows you how people think. Number 2 on the list is software updates, and I know this is something that gets talked about quite a lot, but it's true. When a new version of iOS comes out, everybody gets it all at once, unless they've got a really old phone. You don't have to wait for your carrier to tell you when you can have the update. You don't have to wait if you're in a different country. As long as you have an iPhone and a new version of the software comes out, you get that update straight away. The same time as everybody else, all across the world. So everybody's always using the latest version. Unless they're a jailbreaker or they have an old device and they choose not to update, then that's the case. It's fantastic. We often hear the words, "it just works," when we talk about Apple, and there's a very good reason for that. Apple has this way of hiding some of the processes involved in making things work that we're used to seeing. And so it kind of feels magical, and it kind of feels like it just works, and to the consumer that's really nice. It takes some of the unnecessary steps and layers out of performing certain tasks. For instance, if you look at iMessage. An iMessage is just built into the regular Messages app. You don't have to download something separate, and it automatically detects if your contact is an iMessage user and will send an iMessage. The same can be said of documents and photos in the cloud. When you take a photo, if you have PhotoStream switched on, your photos are automatically in PhotoStream. When you open it on your Mac or your computer through the web browser, or if you use an iPad, you look in your PhotoStream and you will see all your latest pictures there waiting for you. You don't have to upload them. All you have to do is make sure that PhotoStream is switched on, and it does it. The same can be said of iCloud backup. Your phone will back up every time you plug it into charge, or at regular intervals if you don't plug it into charge. Now the power behind all this stuff just working is iCloud. And iCloud is fantastic because it enables you to do all the things I've just mentioned, and it also allows developers to tap into it. So let's say, for instance, you've got Tweetbot installed on your iPhone and you've got Tweetbot installed on your Mac. iCloud means that you can sync your Twitter feed through Tweetbot. So if I've read something on my Mac, I don't then have to go and mark it as read on my iPhone. And the same can be said of direct messages or mentions. And the other way around, if I read up to a certain point on my feed on my iPhone, I can go to Tweetbot on my Mac and it is automatically caught up because of iCloud. One of the best reasons to go with iPhone is the App Store. And obviously a lot of this hard work is down to third-party developers. It's not down to Apple, it's not down to the iPhone necessarily. It's down to iOS and the way that it just invites apps into the App Store. There are tons of them. There are hundreds of thousands, or I think there's over 1 million apps in the App Store now. And the great thing about Apple's App Store is that it's monitored and approved in such a way that you don't get too much rubbish surfacing when you open up the App Store. And when you search for things, you can generally find some really great stuff. And it helps you to discover stuff through the featured and categories, and through the top 5 or top 10 lists, or even top 50 lists of particular genres and categories. But it really is the developers that make it worthwhile. You've got some exclusive apps on there, like Twitter apps, like Twitterific and Tweetbot are fantastic. You've got Fantastical and all sorts of other calendar apps, and even some really great exclusive games that you can't get anywhere else. Games like Republic, which launched at the end of last year. One of the best games I've ever played on any platform, including consoles. The App Store is amazing, and while the competition is kind of catching up a little bit in terms of quality, I still think the Apple and the iPhone App Store is the best out there. The attention to detail that Apple has to design and to the way they put their phones together, whether it's the software or the components on the chipboard or the way they put the chassis together and all that kind of stuff, you don't really see that anywhere else. Everything's built in conjunction with everything else. You don't have, for instance, them getting a chip or a processor from another company and then trying to figure out how they can make iOS work for that chip. They build a chip specifically for iOS, and they build iOS specifically for that chip, and they build that chip to go on a specific component board, and they build everything that's in an iPhone, whether it's hardware, whether it's virtual or software, whether it's a component, whether it's the actual body of the phone. Everything is built with everything else in mind, and that's not something you see anywhere else on the market, and it means that they can fine-tune the experience to be exactly what they want, and they are very particular about quality, and that's something that's great for the consumer because, like I said in the first point, you get that consistency. So those are my top 5 reasons for going iPhone. I know some of you will disagree with me, and I know there will be people down in the comments below who are going to tell me that all my points are wrong because they can't see the fact that iPhone could possibly be any good, and I'm probably just an iPhone fanboy anyway. But like I said at the start of this video, we are going to be pointing out the benefits to all the platforms over the next few weeks, and those are my reasons why you should probably consider an iPhone. If those are the things you like, then go for it. I'm at phonedog_cam on Twitter, and I'll see you again soon.